Who were the original inhabitants of ancient Egypt? The creators of pyramids, the architects of temples, the civilization many call the cradle of advanced human achievement? Were they Black Africans? Were they Arabs? Or were they foreigners whose story has been rewritten over time? Today we confront the truth, not myths, not politics, not speculation, but history built from archaeology, science, and ancient records. Long before Arab migration, long before Greek generals marched into the Nile Valley, ancient Egypt was already thriving. Civilization began along the life-giving waters of the Nile River more than 7,000 years ago. The earliest settlers were indigenous Northeast African populations, people closely related to Nubian and Saharan communities. They were farmers, cattle herders, stone craftsmen, village builders. They were Africans. As the Sahara slowly turned into desert, these African communities migrated toward the Nile, where fertile soil allowed permanent settlement and social organization. By 3100 BCE, a ruler named Narmer unified northern and southern kingdoms, creating the civilization historians now call ancient Egypt. This happened nearly 3,000 years before Arabs ever entered Egypt. Between 2600 and 2500 BCE, Egyptian civilization reached one of its greatest achievements, the construction of the pyramids, including the legendary Great Pyramid of Giza. These monuments were built by organized Egyptian workers, skilled African laborers, engineers, and architects, seasonal farmers working during Nile floods, government-supported national workforce. Archaeological discoveries have uncovered worker villages, medical care evidence, bakeries, and burial tombs belonging to pyramid builders. This confirms they were not foreign slave populations and not Arab settlers. They were native Egyptians, an African Nile Valley civilization. Egypt's identity began changing only thousands of years later through conquest. In 332 BCE, Macedonian armies led by Alexander the Great invaded Egypt. Greek rulers controlled the country for centuries, introducing European cultural influence. Later, Egypt became part of the powerful Roman Empire, bringing Mediterranean political and military control. But the biggest cultural transformation came in 641 CE, when Muslim armies entered Egypt under the Rashidun Caliphate. This marked the beginning of Arabic language dominance, Islamic religious transformation, Arab cultural identity in Egypt. Over centuries, Arab settlers mixed with the native Egyptian population, gradually shaping modern Egyptian society. For centuries, scholars, colonial historians, and political movements argued over Egypt's identity. Some attempted to separate Egypt from Africa entirely, claiming its achievements came from outside civilizations. Others emphasized Egypt's African roots based on archaeology, linguistics, and cultural connections with Nubia and surrounding regions. The truth is more complex but also clearer than many believe. Ancient Egypt began as an African civilization. Later, it became culturally and genetically mixed through conquest and migration. Even long after pyramid construction ended, native Egyptian dynasties continued monumental building projects. Pharaoh Ramesses II, ruling over 1,200 years after the pyramids, carved massive temples into Nubian mountains, proving Egypt's architectural tradition remains strong across generations. Modern Egypt is a fusion of African, Arab, Mediterranean, and Ottoman influences. But the stone monuments rising from desert sands tell a deeper story, a story that began thousands of years before foreign empires ever reached the Nile. The pyramids do not speak, yet their stones remember. They remember the hands that carved them, the workers who lifted them, and the civilization that dared to build eternity. The builders of ancient Egypt were not Arabs, they were not Greeks, they were not Romans. They were the indigenous people of the African Nile Valley, whose legacy still stands, unbroken by time,